Welcome back, guys. It is me again, Zoe. Today we are going to continue talking about history. I decided that we are going to start from the very beginning. We are going to start with the Big Bang, the start of time itself, the start of just everything in the universe, the Big Bang. It's crazy. We are also, I realized that yesterday I spent a whole lot of time talking and very little time actually working, so I'm going to work very hard so that I don't die when night comes. Um, so yeah, that's the plan for today. Um, I know that the Big Bang isn't like technically history, and I'm looking for a cave right now. While I'm doing this, I know that that's not like technically history. It's not in any of the curriculum for history classes that I've taken and stuff. Um, but I figure like it's a good place to start talking about history because it's the start of it all, like we wouldn't be able to have the conversation of any history if we didn't have this one thing, this one giant, just the Big Bang is everything. We wouldn't have a universe without it, which I just think is awesome. Okay, so disclaimer here, I gotta have a dramatic scene here. Disclaimer, I am not a scientist. um I I think I pretty much know what I'm talking about, but I'm not a scientist. If you want a scientist, you can go to Crash Course something. Um, they technically know more about it than me, but I just like talking about it. So yeah. Um, so the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, there was nothing. There was nothing at all, and there wasn't any time either. If that makes any sense, because time is a really relative thing. Like, we know that time passes because we see the sun rise and set every day. We know that it passes because we feel hungry after a few hours. Like, it's relative. We wouldn't know that time was passing just inherently. Like, it's not a thing we can touch at all. It's a thing that influences how we see the world. It's not a force in and of itself. I got some coal in this cave, which is very good because that means that I might not die. Um, I will probably set myself up inside the cave just so I can like mine through night because I don't have any wool for a bed. Yeah, that's what happens when you manage your time badly. And I'm just gonna like hope that there's no monsters in this cave. Okay, it's a small cave, right? So the Big Bang, yes, really, 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 really cool. The Big Bang, there was nothing before it, and then all of the matter in the universe was in this one tiny pinprick. It wasn't even, you can't really call it volume even. It's just it was so small. Technically there was just a ton of mass in it, but it was so small so you couldn't really define the mass. It wasn't really a thing. It was just infinitesimally small. Um and it was so small and so big, so massive at the same time that just wasn't really sustainable. So it exploded, you know? It made a big bang. uh, and all of the matter just expanded outwards forever and ever and ever, which is where we are right now. We're within that expansion. And the universe is actually still expanding right now. It is still constantly getting bigger. There's a theory about the Big Bang, which I personally just love. And it is that so the universe is still expanding, and eventually it will get to be too big. The mass doesn't change. There's the law of conservation of matter that you probably learned about in science class. So there's a set amount of mass in the universe, and that amount of mass can't ever change. You can't add or subtract anything from it. It just is. So I don't know what I'm doing mining here. I guess I want iron. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to pass the time, honestly. I'm not very good at monster hunting, so I'm not doing that right now. But anyway, so there's a set amount of matter in the universe, but it's ever expanding. It's just getting bigger and bigger. So it's increasing in volume but staying the same in mass, and that's not sustainable forever. So um, eventually it will start like collapsing in on itself again. Instead of expanding, it'll be contracting, and it'll contract and contract and contract until eventually, and this is the amazing part, eventually it will be just that one pinprick that it was at the beginning. It'll become as small as it was before the Big Bang. And then that won't be sustainable, so it'll be another Big Bang. It'll just cycle. So I know that you're probably thinking, oh, like, that's crazy. This is the first time that's ever happened. This is very remarkable. It's probably not, though. But we won't know. It's just, like, the thing about time is that it doesn't exist if there's nothing to compare it to. So if you can't say that this is the only time that this has happened, but it's the only time in this history. Oh, iron, that's cool. Time will reset after it's done, because there will be nothing there once it contracts to be the same as it was before the Big Bang. There will be nothing, and so there will be no time, and then it'll start over after a period of no time, which will be forever and just no time at all. It doesn't really matter. It's just no time. There's no way to see it. There's no way to do it. I want to see if you can see me here, because this is a really like dramatic thing that I'm saying right here. There was nothing at the beginning. No time, no nothing, no space, no anything. And then there was everything. And then afterwards there will be nothing again, and it'll just repeat and repeat and repeat. So this could be the millionth time that the universe has happened, the millionth time that the Big Bang has happened. But it just doesn't really matter, because the way that history works is that this is the only time that will ever be in this history. And we will never be able to tell. Oh, that's a really cool cave. It's a ravine, that's why. I have to find the side of that then. I don't know. I think that that's so cool. I don't like science that much, but I love like theorizing about stuff. I like doing debates. And just like how the universe got created, how it started. That's one of the most fascinating things, and we will never ever be able to prove it, which I love. I love that so much. We're never going to be able to say definitely, oh yeah, that's how the universe started. Never. We can't ever say, oh, this is the first time the universe has happened. This is the only Big Bang. We can never say that. It's unprovable. We can carbon date rocks and stuff, but like, that's not going to tell us that this has happened before. It's so fascinating. But anyway, yeah. The Big Bang, it started everything. It was the beginning of everything. And eventually it'll be the way that the universe ends too. But it started through that, and that's the very important thing, okay? The Big Bang happened, history started, all of this craziness that is because of that. I know I've said that a lot. It's because I think it's really cool. I'm gonna make a chest. I really like organizing things in Minecraft, so I'm going to make a chest and a furnace so I can start smelting some cobble. 1 second, I'll be right back to the history talk, I promise. I know, I know that you guys probably love all the history, like, I don't know. Some people don't like me hearing me ramble. I hope that you do. If you do, leave a like and subscribe and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't really care about subs. I like them. They're wonderful. I think that they're very, very nice, and I got really happy when I got 2 of them. But in general, I like making these videos. Like that's the thing I'm going for here. Right. So history started. I think it's incredible also that we got to the point in history that we can start to explain that kind of stuff. Like, we can explain things that happened billions of years ago. I forgot exactly how many billions of years ago. I know that the Earth is like 4.7 billion. But I can't quite remember how old the universe is. But speaking of the Earth, planets started to form. right. I'm gonna be basically going over a science lesson because we need this context. We need to be able to say how all of this started. So, the universe began. There was now matter. There was nothing before, but now there's matter. Now there's things that we use like time and theoretical concepts of like that just couldn't really exist beforehand, but could exist now. Not that anyone was there to talk about them, not that anyone was there to actually define them, but they could exist if someone were there, you know. Um, there was all this matter, but it didn't just become, how do I explain this? Like the Big Bang didn't happen and there were just planets, you know. It didn't work like that. There was matter in just the infiniteness of space, and that was just all there was. And eventually, these were like dust particles, and eventually these dust particles started sticking together. They started running into each other and sticking together and getting bigger. And as they got bigger, they got their own mass, and this mass started to attract other things together, and then they got even bigger until they were planetoids. Planetoids are like the name suggests, they're small planets. And then once they became planetoids, those planetoids started crashing together, and then they formed planets. And that's how the world was made. Then we had Earth, and people think that Earth was probably pretty much just like a thing of rock and magma for a long time. Didn't have any water. It wasn't something that could sustain life at all. It was just this big rock of hot. But eventually there was a comet, and it crashed into Earth, and that is the only reason why we can survive here. That's the only reason that humanity exists. Well, there's a lot of only reasons that humanity exists, but without that, humanity would definitely not exist at all. Oh, there's a skeleton somewhere. Oh no. I'm not ready for this. I'm not prepared at all to fight anything. I'm going to go back up. But regardless, there was a comet, and it crashed into Earth, and it gave us H2O, water, which is just the most revolutionary thing, the most incredible thing that any planet can have. It's finally daytime again. Yay. Just water is the most incredible thing. It is the only reason why we're alive. It's the only reason why there's any life on Earth is water. Because I'm not entirely sure why, actually. Everyone has always told me that, but no one ever really told me exactly why. Regardless, it is the breeding ground for any thing, you know. And so there were pools of water on Earth, and that was really cool and stuff. But there still wasn't anything there. It's not like we needed the water because things needed to drink. There was nothing there quite yet. But things started to be there because eventually another comet crashed into us, I'm pretty sure, and it gave us single-celled organisms. And those aren't really that interesting, honestly. I'm going to skip mostly over those. There were single-celled organisms, and then they accidentally ate each other, and then there were two-celled organisms. And then that basically kept happening until eventually there were multi-celled organisms, like little fishies, and they were swimming around in this little pond over there. Oh, there's sheep. That's very good. I'm very low on food, actually. So we started to have animals, very small animals. Then they got bigger. They adapted and got bigger and stuff. I'm not going to make a iron axe right now. I'm just going to make a stone one for the moment, but going to go about killing some animals as I talk about the evolution of animals. Animals started happening, and then dinosaurs happened eventually, and then there was this whole thing where Pangea, all of the continents came together, and you would think, oh, that's so great, you know, big continent. Well, it's not great at all. It was one of the worst things because it created this giant desert in the middle of it. So then there was just this giant desert for almost all of the globe. and it caused almost everything in the land to die. So there was a massive extinction event. Can't actually remember if that was before or after the asteroid. Regardless, there was then another big extinction event for the next batch of things, and we're still not even at humans yet, which is crazy. There were multiple massive extinction events before humans even came into the picture. But all of these things, lots and lots of things died. Species that we can't even comprehend all died. And then eventually, there were mammals. After the big asteroid we all know about, there were mammals, and they were like rat things originally, but eventually, after lots and lots of time, they turned into humans. And humans were crazy because we are the things that we're very smart, basically. We are just incredibly intelligent animals. We have very big brains, which is why it's so hard for us to give birth, but also why we survived. Also, our ability to eat salt and conserve water means that we have like more stamina than other creatures. Like cheetahs, they're super fast, but also they run for like 4 minutes and they have to rest for an hour. Like we can run for 4 hours, and in the end we beat them, even though they're faster in the short term. My point is that we evolved and we became the dominant organism, and eventually, what was it called? The Neolithic Era, right? Neolithic Era. We started to make farms and agriculture, and we built towns, and we weren't nomadic anymore, and that was the catalyst of everything. We were able to create culture and civilization and cool stuff. And yeah, that's the start of humanity. That's the start of the universe. It's fantastic, honestly. That was a really, really short definition of it, but I really wanted to get into the cool stuff. Like next week, or whenever I end up uploading it, we will be talking about ancient Egypt, which I love. I love ancient Egypt. I have this book about it, which I just adore, and it's not in print anymore, so I can't really get any more like it. But ancient Egypt, that is like, everyone says Greece is the pinnacle of civilization. No, Egypt is the pinnacle of early civilization. They were so cool. But that is just a brief history of the beginning of the world, the beginning of the universe. We survived our first night. Not much interesting stuff happened in the Minecraft realm, but we survived our first night. I still have Eduardo. I didn't introduce him at the beginning of the video, but this is my parrot, Eduardo. Say hello, Eduardo. Hello. He's saying hello to you. You just can't see it. Right, that's the beginning of history. I hope you guys tune in for the next video and leave a like. Thanks.